So we're turning the corner in the sequence of questions of this class of who's our partner was the first one, and then what's our project, which they were supposed to wrap up after design review 1. They had proposed 3 projects, and hopefully between their team and all the feedback they got and talking to their partner, decided on 1. And then now they're, okay, what's the product to fulfill that project?
If you're willing to try just holding this and walking around.
Yeah, we haven't had her try this one yet. Because from my impression of it, that one's heavier, and that one provides a little more support on top of the hand.
We were looking at their experiments around not even a whole product yet, just pieces of how could the function work, how might your partner interact with it, and what might the character be or need to be in order for them to actually embrace it. And so they were doing just little experiments, as we saw, with like existing bags or existing products or just their own bodies to try and figure out the answers to questions that they were supposed to pose.
In order to get a sense for what sort of functions we might be missing out on, we want to explore different backpacks, shoulder bags, all sorts of things. What does she like about them? What does she not like about them? Putting her tank in each of these and seeing what we want out of this. And we did place cardboard in the bottom of the bag that she had previously to get a sense of how it would stabilize it. And it stabilized it pretty well. We have to figure out exactly the right size for the bottom, but that's the thing.
I think the ones that did the intentional questioning had the more intentional experimenting, and also had the more intentional understanding from those experiments. What were the observations, ideas, and new principles that came out of your experiments?
Kind of accidentally experimented with these two, because when we gave it to her, she thought oh wow, this is so amazing, this is so light. And the reason we left it with her was because she actually tried it out on not just in her bathtub, but in her washer and dryer.
They all end up with completely different topics and projects that are in different realms of engineering, so we can't do any proactive teaching about, here's how you engineer this kind of thing, because they all need something different.
There's a certain kind of pressure in this class because this is a real world project and they've developed relationships with their community partners and they want to deliver something. So I think there's a certain kind of stress level that we're trying to help people feel realistic about what they can do and try to help.
Than just this, but look into other things out there that might even have like a gauntlet or something that goes down her arm or something like that to help support it.
Basically, if the weight's down there, then it's actually supported underneath.
There are existing locator beacon products out there that bundle together a Bluetooth emitter and a battery. And as a consumer product, I wonder about your decision to create your own open source version versus a consumer product.
Yeah, especially things that get distant from our own expertise. Ella's more in mechanical engineering. I'm not any kind of engineering. And so we bring in our colleagues, which is great in so many ways. Good for the students to get new people asking them questions that haven't come up yet, and for them to feel like they're part of a community, even in the real life. Even out in the real world, you don't solve problems by yourself.
You're saying that it would lift her legs for her, or can she lift her legs and put them up on something?
It would lift her legs for her.
She has a hard time lifting her legs, when say when she's getting into a car or something, someone else has to pick her legs up for her and put them in the car, so she can't do it herself.
I was so impressed by the way they could answer some of the questions that were coming from us and our colleagues, where they obviously had a depth of relationship with these people.
So we saw a good range of experimenting and different stages of where they were at for the next piece, which is planning their prototype.
After we came up with the first idea, we're but this tool could be expanded to be a multi-use thing.
What's your big question now? How is the design of your prototype going to attack this next round of questions? So both imagining what that prototype is and having a reasonably concrete plan in place of what that's going to take and when they're going to do it and how they're going to get those pieces and stuff.
After spring break, to go and buy these parts in order to construct the base of this first prototype. So it's going to be a wooden dowel and some PVC and the magnets, which we already have, and then the brush head, which we'll probably just find one that works well for her and then attach it somehow. And 3D print a couple different handles to test out and maybe make a couple different heads as well and then take those and see how she feels about them.
They are considering really different nature and magnitude of technical challenge. And I think we take it into consideration, all these forms that we have, but they go 1 through 5, and 4 is an Olin A and 5 is the above and beyond. So that gives us space to compensate without having to bring down people who have taken on something simpler that is actually what their partner needs.
Even the simple projects have a lot of design decisions to be
That's
made
right.
around it. And so,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
we have them think through the whole, where's somebody going to be keeping this thing, how they're going to clean it, where is it going to, storage and all this. So when Ella says cleaning, make sure you're thinking of the two different kinds of cleaning. There's the when she's intentionally cleaning something, and then afterwards this has to be cleaned. And it will be getting wet and soapy. So think about that whole, and where she keeps it, and what happens when the brush wears out and all that.
That's all in your design brief, right? You've read the design brief.
Yeah.
Brief, like what you're supposed to do, and so you need to be able to explain the whole use journey in there, and so those will be great things to think about.